Hello, everybody. I wasn't riling up Pablo. I actually had to go to. We ran out of food, or the food, dog food. So I was up to Costco, and it took a lot longer to get through than I was hoping about. So, no, the guy who was going to join us had a last minute thing, so he couldn't join us. Um, he just emailed me last night. He said he had a last minute engagement he had to attend to. So well, let's see if he ever comes on. That's fine. I always like to interview people, but I'm not going to chase them down, if that makes sense. So anyway, long story short, we had a meeting with a guy today who quit his graphical job to go into. We should be on Rumble to go into. Am I not showing up on Rumble yet? What is up, everybody? To start his own business, and he's killing it. He's doing greenhouses, but he's not going to join us. Another thing you could do build chicken coops. Why am I not on Rumble, man? It's not there yet. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on in Rumble. All right. Huh. Huh. Well, am I on the wrong channel again? Oh boy, did I do that again? Put on the wrong channel? Oh boy, Rumble is weirding me out lately. I don't know what's going on. Hold on just a second. All right, there we go. Oh. Well, all right, I'm not on Rumble. Don't know why. Okay, that's weird. All right, well, I don't know what's going on in Rumble. See, the problem with Rumble is, man, I don't know. I got like two channels on Rumble for some reason. I can't figure out why. So I want to, but you can't delete one or else you delete the other. It's very strange. Very strange. Yeah, upcoming. It says upcoming. Today's the 18th, right? Yeah. It says 12 p.m. Eastern time, the 18th. It says upcoming live stream on Rumble. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. All right, well, whatever. That's weird. All right, we got there we go. So everyone's in the house here. Good stuff, good stuff. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, not very sunny here either. It's not cold, but it's not sunny, that's for sure. All right, so I had a couple things that I wanted to share with you guys I thought would be of interest. Hold on a second here. Yeah, there we go. Let me go to. Oops. All right. Why is wrong? That's the weirdest thing. Yeah, whatever. I'm glad that the live stream we did the other day is still on Rumble. I'm not sure why it's not here today. Why it's not going live today. That is weird, but whatever. All right. So I wanted to go to a couple things here. Right here was pretty cool. Did you all see the video? I got a canker sore right there. So if I'm stuttering or mumbling, I'm not drinking. I just right there. It hurts like right in between the top and bottom lip. Oh man, it hurts like HE double hockey stick. I don't know what's going on, Rumble, so we'll just see what happens. Now, so if you're wondering, if I'm mumbling, it's because I got this right there. Oh man, it hurts. I couldn't eat ice cream yet. Oh, my wife had made some brownie batter yesterday. She goes, "You want some?" Because I love brownie batter. But I couldn't eat it. I said no, because every time I like open my mouth to take a bite out of something, it like hurts right there. Oh, it hurts like hell. What's the screenshot, Denise? What's the screenshot? At Rumble? What's yeah, I don't know what's going on over there. I'm not sure why it's not showing up. All right, whatever. We'll figure it out someday. Yeah, I did take some and Besol or whatever, or put some on there. That actually helps with the pain a little bit, but I don't think it actually helps with a with the healing process. I think it actually arrests the healing process. Doesn't have any other days live. More does say anything. What? I don't get it. Yeah, aloe vera, comfy oil, some comfy extract. You're baring your teeth pointing to a mouth sore. I don't get it. What, is that a screenshot? Oh, I got you. Right on. I got you, Denise. Yeah, I'm a little bit slow on the trigger there. That Rumble stuff just ticks me off. I don't want to start a brand new channel there. I'm telling you right now, man. Is there a jab for that? Says Mike. Oh, and beast ambisol is and ambisol. Yeah, right on, man. Alcohol, the solution and cause of all life's problems. That's Homer Simpson. Oh, a lot of people I've been getting a lot of quotes like, Josh, why are you posting old videos on my Josh Scanlon channel? Hey, Marie. And I'm surprised by some of the people putting those those comments on there. Hey, three reasons I'm doing that. So I have my main channel, which is Heritage Wealth Planning. 42 of you guys are on here right now. I got my non-main channel, which is Josh Scanlon, and don't forget to subscribe to my the Mainstream with Josh, channel too. Just subscribe, even if you don't watch. Just subscribe, so I can get that $1,000 subscription. Ooh, literally. Here, let me show you what to do. All right, you guys ready? I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to go into YouTube. All right, so watch. I'm going to show you how to do this. Sent you an email with, I saw, no, I put that, didn't you see the live stream I did, or the video I did the other day? With screenshot from Rumble. Is that with Pablo in there? Because I posted that I was doing that for, I showed everybody that picture of Stone Pablo. That was funny. I tell you, man, there's got to be a band named Stone Pablo, and that guy should be. That's like, talk about a desert stoner band, Stone Pablo, with a picture of Pablo. Just like, yeah, dude, that would be your classic freaking metalish, doom metal, stoner metal band, Stone Pablo. Okay, you missed it. Yeah, no, 5.7%, absolutely. So Rick says, based on your video on China, is 5.7% still. That's my nominal rate of return for stocks. Absolutely. Because how do you get that? You have it by earnings growth plus dividend yield. That's it. So we're not, but you're forgetting the historical average of the S&P 500 is twice that, Rick. You see what I'm saying? So I just want to be clear. Where I'm doing this, I'm coming at it from a perspective of we're already low, if that makes sense. I'm going to turn this light on. We're already low. What I'm coming at. So don't attribute this to say, oh, Josh is going even deeper into the weeds than he did previously. No, I've already taken the top down a half, you know what I'm saying, by 50% from historical averages. So I'm already pretty low, and that's net, that's gross of inflation. You factor in, 3.5% inflation, that's a 2 to 2.5% rate of return, real return. So 100%. And that's what, so see, I'm telling you, man, these people, they'll use this thing called earnings risk premium or equity risk premium. All right. So it drives me up the wall. What they'll do is they'll say stocks have historically, for simplicity, given us 10%. It's called equity risk premium. Bonds have historically given us 6%. So the difference is the ERP. We are so idiotic in financial planning. We so desperately want to be taken serious it's like economics, as like a true math profession. It's the weirdest. I don't understand the envy of it. Now, we got these guys with PhDs, Harry Markowitz and all. It just is so freaking stupid. And they have all this stuff like to validate their returns. And it all comes back to no one knows anything. No one knows freaking anything. I don't care what your stupid equity risk premium is. I don't care what your freaking your correlated risk-free return is relative to a market basket of diversified portfolio, your modern portfolio theory, your Sharpe ratio. all this stuff is so flippin' dumb. It's just dumb. Uh-oh, I thought I heard a dog bark. It's just dumb, and yet people act like it's freaking God spoken word. It's not. Anyway, so what you have here is you have an equity risk premium of 4%. All right, I'm just using this as a historical number. Right, so they're saying so inherently, if bonds are yielding 4%, see how stupid this is. So we have X, we have 4% on bonds. Our ERP equals 4%. So we can say if we know bonds are 4 and our equity risk premium is 4, we have a stock return of 8. So they're literally assuming stock returns are solely based on the price of the yield on bonds. That's stupid. It's dumb. So what? Stock returns have, a little bit on bonds. Because you can say how much they have to pay an interest charge on their debts and all that. But stock returns are based on two things. Again, three things. But the main two things are earnings growth, expectations, and dividend yields. That's it. When earnings growth expectations are south relative to expectations, the price to earn. Let me just show you. All right, so the earnings risk, the equity risk premium is so freaking stupid. I'm reading these guys, and they have all this math. It's oh my goodness! I just want to say, how I'm going to do a video later today. My man Fritz up there in the up in Blue Ridge, Georgia. He was doing an online debate with me. I heard of him. Big Erm or ERM, or a bunch of y'all have sent me this about the gimmick of the bucket Hey, all right, that's a touche, brother. So some guy named Big Erm, it seems like a good guy. I got no qualm with him. I actually appreciate him saying, "Damn right, it's clickbait." That cracked me up. So I was like, "Oh, okay." That was good stuff. I like people who are not afraid to say you're right. Anyway, in this whole thing, I'm sitting there like, "Oh my goodness, this is so damn complex." It's like I like Fritz, and that's why my first introduction to Fritz was when I did a video on his bucket strategy from 5 years ago, and I thought he was on it. I'm just like, oh, this makes my head spin. And I'm not a stupid guy, I'm a caveman. I grant you, but I'm not dumb. I'm just like Fritz. But Fritz likes that stuff. Fritz Gilbert. Oh, I got four. The sound was off. So my man Fritz Gilbert at the Retirement Manifesto, I love Fritz. He's this guy right here, old chunky monkey, right? Well, that's actually Muscles, Mr. Muscles. Chunky Monkey's father, Mr. Muscles is Finn. But anyway, Mr. Muscles there, Venice Beach, Finn. If it wasn't for Fritz, we would not have him because Charlotte and I went up for lunch one day and we came back with a talk. But I'm just like, oh man, doing all these iterations and moving around. Like, oh, I have no clue what the markets did yesterday. I don't even know what they're doing today. And that's the only. Look, if you enjoy it, that's fine. I tend to think a lot of these people don't enjoy it. Now, I'm not saying Fritz. Yes, the markets are down today. Oh, look at that! This is right. Ooh, I literally could care less what the stock market does. This right here is what I like to see. This is what I like to see. Uh-oh. Charlotte's Chloe thought her drop ad class was 2 weeks. Turns out to be 1 week, and now she's stuck in macroeconomics at like 8 a.m. I said, "Why did you do that to yourself? Macroeconomics is stupid. It's kind of like evolution. It's just dumb. Everybody knows evolution is dumb. Everyone knows that macroeconomics is dumb." I said, "What?" She goes, "Well, I needed it." I said, "Oh, just anyway." Long story short, she goes, "Well, I can drop it." She went to try to drop it today. Can't drop it now because there's a week's time. And Charlotte's like, "Chloe, the Zell Miller is you have to maintain a certain threshold to maintain the Zell Miller, which is where your tuition's free." She's crashing. Chloe is. In fact, she's got another comedy hour. Well, not comedy hour, but another stand up open mic gig next week on the 24th. And I was thinking about going up there and see her in her stand-up gig, but we'll see. Anyway, so she's Charlotte's kind of like, "What are you doing?" I can hear in the background. And when Charlotte gets kind of pissy, look out, world, man. Woo, Nelly. Those freaking Irish Catholics, that ain't pleasant to watch. What the hell we're talking? All right, so now stock returns. All right, that's what I was gonna say. So right here, look at that. Look at that. See that? That's a 10-year Treasury, 3.428. 10-year Treasury. But we're gonna have massive inflation. Yeah, that's not indicative of massive inflation. Well, the only reason is because Chinese are buying our bonds. Or the only reason is that the quantitative easing is back. The only reason is that, well, they're selling their stocks. All this stuff is just dumb. It's just dumb. And it frustrates me no end. How much time and energy is wasted on the markets and trying to say, it's kind of like gambling. You can study all day long about blackjack. You're always going to lose. What they do, double down whenever you lose. I mean, mathematically, ultimately, you will come out ahead. But as Keynes said, you'll run out of time before you run out of money. Or wait, you'll run out of money, whatever he said. That's what he said. In the long run, we're all dead. So mathematically, you can double down and you'll never lose money in blackjack. Guaranteed. Problem is, you don't know when that time is going to come. It's kind of like the sequence of return risk. If that makes sense. At some point, yeah, the sequence of return risk doesn't affect you if you can live for 50,000 years, but you're not going to live for 50,000 years. Come on, stupid. Dumb. Let's not be dumb. Anyway, so the point being is when that 10-year Treasury is down to 3.4, ooh, that's good because that's indicative that the market doesn't foresee inflation and they don't foresee massive interest rate hikes. And the market's pretty smart in the aggregate. I'm telling you right now, the market's pretty smart. So, all right. So what we do, stock returns, earnings growth, right? Earnings growth is contingent on what? Labor cost or labor costs going down or up? They're going up. We're not going to automate everything. We might automate some warehouses and all that. But if their automation is so good, why is Amazon laying off all these people? I mean, come on. Let's use our heads. Not you guys. I'm just talking about the general population. They're not heavy thinkers here. They're not. So automation isn't going to save us. I did this video earlier today on China. Automation is not going to save China. And the reason you know this is because automation is based on human inputs. And if you just do a chat GPT, and you ask, are whites overrepresented in the financial industry? They'll say yes, because whites are evil at all times. At all times. But if you say, is there a certain Abrahamic religion who's overrepresentatives in financial industry? They'll say no, but then they'll say, well, it's good that they are. You see what I'm saying? So these are, this isn't to bash a certain Abrahamic religion. I find it interesting that whites are overrepresentative, supposedly, and we can all bash that and say that's bad. But if a certain group is overrepresented, we all have to say that's a good thing after we said it wasn't true. And you're like, that doesn't make any sense. These are the people programming the AI. They're all woke. They're all dumb. Not dumb. So they're not going to take over society. It's just silly, man. And the reason is because you can't have a computer be creative. You can't. It's just going to be silly. From a computer, it's a non-sentient being has no creativity. Remember, Satanists destroy. Satan does not create. It destroys. Satan destroys what God created. Now, Satan will never win, but the Satanists are always going to try. So the good guys, us, are creating things. The bad guys, them, the Satanists of the world, of the realm, are destroying. AI is being run by a bunch of Satanists, essentially, who want to destroy things. Are there some good people in there? Absolutely. Absolutely. Probably the majority of them are good people who are programming these things. However, they're not the leaders. Are there good people in the FBI? Absolutely. The vast majority of FBI are probably great people locking up child pedos and whatnot. The leadership is evil. Are there good people in, freaking NASA? Absolutely. Absolutely. Tons of good people. The vast majority of good people probably believe in what they're doing. The leadership is evil. It's just that simple. We know the leadership of NASA is evil, given that Werner von Braun was literally a hardcore Nazi who came over here to run NASA. So we know this, man. All right. So the facts are, when you have evil in charge of things, they have no ability to create. They have ability to destroy. Thus, I'm not at all worried about AI. Anyway, so let's go back. So we got earnings growth. So is earnings growth going up or going to go down? Well, now the interest rates are higher, so companies that have some debt are going to have to offer higher interest rates to turn over their debt, and that will take a hit to earnings. That's a fact. Cost of labor is going up. There's fewer and fewer people who can do the jobs that we used to be able to do. That's just a fact, guys. I hate to say it, but I know they're laying off people, but at the same time, they don't have enough quality employees as well. Not just Amazon. I'm talking about the worldwide. It's just, and then you have this, and the skill set of the older baby boomers who are dying off. We're not replacing that with my generation. And hell, the generations underneath me certainly are not. So we have a declining skill set in mass. And the baby boomers who are dying, who had the creative mindset, who had the skills, who weren't part of woke culture in terms of their education, they're all dying. And so there's no one to replace them. So cost of labor going up, cost of goods sold, which is literally the only thing that matters when it comes to selling a business or operating a business, is going up because the cost of interest is going up, cost of labor is going up, cost of energy is going way up. I've been reading so many articles about the wind turbine scam. It's crazy how everyone's seeing this now. It's like turn on a dime. It's funny to me how the Greens don't get it, and they will. Ultimately, they'll get it because they're all fools. But if you think the wind and sun are the elixir, whatever that's called, you're crazy. You don't know what the hell you're talking about, man. I hate to say you're dumb. And we could say you're ignorant, but if you're still ignorant after all this time, there's something wrong with you. That means you're blissfully ignorant, which means you're dumb. You can't put two and two together because it's impossible for this to happen. Anyway, unless we go backtrack in our consumption, which is kind of the point. All right. So earnings growth. I don't think anyone is expecting massive earnings growth on a freaking unperceived scale. No way. It could. We don't know, but I highly suspect it won't. Plus dividend yield. All right. Everyone pretty much knows dividend yields are around 2% or so, give or take. And that's not going to change much. And remember, one of the reasons they made dividends qualified dividend income tax as opposed to ordinary income is because dividends are double taxed. How are dividends double taxed? The company that makes the profits in which to pay the dividend has to pay tax on the profits in which to pay the dividend. Thus, companies are less inclined to pay the dividend because not only do they have to pay it, when they send that dividend downstream to you, you have to pay tax on it. It's a double taxation of dividends. Everybody knows this. This is just basic business school 101 stuff. Company makes the money in which to pay the profits, which they have to pay tax on, which they thus use their net profits in which to pay a dividend. You receive that dividend, you have to pay tax. Now, in 2006, I think, on the Pension Protection Act, whatever the hell that was, under stupid Bush, they did make dividend payouts taxable less because they're saying it is double taxation. Part two of this, though, is on the debt side. All right, so we have debt versus dividends. Double tax. So remember, this is if you're taking on debt to pay a dividend, that's dumb. That's not a sustainable environment. So dividends are double taxed. Debt, on the other hand, is a write-off. So companies can write off the interest on their debt, but they pay tax on their dividends. Now, one of the things they did on the did they pass that thing with the buyback of shares? I can't remember where that stood. I can't remember I can't remember where that stands. Where the Democrats, I think they did pass something where they're making it harder to buy back shares. Buying back shares in itself isn't. It's just it is, because they're saying, well, we could buy back shares to boost the share price of the stock, which means when you sell it, it'll be long-term capital gain, or it could use the net proceeds, the profits, to pay dividends. But dividends are taxed to us and taxed to you too. So from a fiduciary perspective, buying back shares make more sense than freaking issuing a dividend. It's just that simple. But I think they did something with the Congress and Sniffy Joe. I forgot what it was. All right. So anyway, be that as it may, we're incentivized to borrow. It's kind of like, there's good debt and bad debt. The good debt is debt I can write off. Oh, so idiotic. Debt deduction is not the same thing as a tax credit. A tax credit is a dollar for dollar reduction in your taxes due. A deduction is a dollar for dollar reduction in your income for which you have to declare taxes on. It's not the same thing in the least. I don't understand why people don't see this. And yet, with only 8% of the population even itemizing their taxes, they're not getting any mortgage interest deduction. They're not getting any charitable deductions. But I'm a socialist because I want to get rid of charitable deductions. Who takes advantage of charitable deductions? The uber wealthy. 92% of the population doesn't itemize. Thus, 92% of the people get no charitable deductions. 92% of the people don't itemize. Thus, 92% of the people don't get any mortgage interest deductions. There is no good debt. It's all bad debt. Oh my goodness! But my last video, I said 1% of the population got like 2/3 of the wealth. People are like, you're a socialist. I'm like, okay, whatever. I just don't care. This idiot. Why have so many people falling off now? We had like 98, and now we got 69. Did I offend somebody by? You know, I'm not in the mood to care. I'm just like, whatever. It's so silly to me. So anyway, all right. So we've incentivized corporations to borrow. We've disincentivized them to pay dividends. And as such, they're not going to, the dividend ratings aren't going to go that much higher in terms of the payouts. The yields could go higher, certainly. The yields go higher when the price drops. So that's not a net win for us as average investors, though. All right. So we got earnings growth plus dividend yields. All right. Now the second thing or the third thing is plus or minus PE. And this is what I talked about last time. Price to earnings expansion or contraction. What people are willing to pay for $1 of earnings. All right. So in the friggin' go-go years, people are willing to pay, like what Bitcoin is now, 21,000 or something like that. It was up to 65,000. I mean, just for an example, that's all speculation. It's all Dutch tulips. And everything is Dutch tulips on this. Dutch tulips, I mean, is they're speculating on whether or not their price for $1 of earnings will be profitable to the net investor or not. It's just Dutch tulips. It's speculation. It has nothing to do with other than I think an $8 for $1 earnings is too expensive for me to buy that stock. Thus, the price to earnings ratio will contract. So when that contracts, that means the stock returns will be less. I think 80 for Amazon is too low of a price to earnings ratio. So I will buy the stock, which the price to earnings ratio will expand. Expansion. Now, those are short term because it's very fleeting. People just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and they'll change their mind on PE expansion versus contraction. So you can't write that. Yeah, now I'm back up to 100. It's weird. You can't write that. There's no science or anything like that behind price earnings expansion. It's just what people think. No other way around that. So we have earnings growth. The cost of goods sold under earnings growth is going to go higher. There's no two ways around that. The price of energy is going higher. The labor costs are going higher. The cost of borrowing is going higher. All right, on top, and then we're going to going back to China, what I said before, we import $550 billion worth of items from China. Those costs are going to go higher too because their labor force is shrinking as we're right here. We're just watching it in front of our very eyes. And India's not going to take up isn't going to replace it anytime soon. So the cost of goods sold, all right, is going up. That's going to hurt earnings growth. All right, now how do you increase your earnings growth? Well, you have efficiencies. I mean, you could automate your workforce. Well, good luck with that. You could find a cheaper provider of your slave labor. So if China, their slave labor is too expensive, you go to freaking, I don't know, North Korea and their slave labor is less expensive, then you can boost your earnings growth. Now, that's just a fact. There's not much ways to boost your earnings growth other than efficiencies or developing new products that will give you more efficiency. No other way around that. So earnings growth, in my opinion, is going to be low. I'm saying 4% or so, 4 to 4.5%. Dividend yield is stuck between 1.5 and 2.5. Literally that simple. And it'll go down. The dividend yield will go down when the price of stocks go up. I don't expect that. The dividend yield will go up when the price of stocks goes up. The dividend yield will go up when the price of stocks goes down. I would expect that, but I don't see anything more than 2.5 to 3% dividend yield. Price earnings expansion versus contraction. That's anyone's guess. I simply don't see a whole lot of people out there saying I'm willing to pay more and more and more for $1 of earnings than what we've done for the last 15 years, especially now. And this is where the equity risk premium comes in, especially now that the bonds are paying higher. All right, so the ERP, the equity risk premium. So remember, let's go back to this. Stocks, 10%. Bonds, 6%. Our equity risk premium for fools would be 4%, and that's what the base, the growth. That's so that's what they should expect to get over. We'll just say a 10-year Treasury bond, what's called a risk-free investment. And it's just idiotic, but if that's what they're going to say, it's fine. The equity risk premium is really only in the third of those three categories, which is the price earnings contraction or expansion. So if our equity risk premium is 4%, all right. And then so let me try and talk about. So let me actually draw this. We got price to earnings expansion or contraction. All right, you're willing to pay more for $1 of earnings, i.e., expanding the PE ratio when interest rates are low. You're willing to pay less for $1 of earnings when interest rates are higher. All right, so that it's just that simple. So the equity risk premium wouldn't be in earnings growth, would not be in dividend yield. It would be on the price to earnings expansion or contraction. Now that interest rates are higher, people are going to be less willing to pay $1 or whatever the PE ratio is for $1 of earnings, which means that PE ratio will contract. So now we got earnings growth going down, dividend yield staying flat roughly, PE ratio going contraction. All right, so earnings growth going down, dividend yield staying flat, maybe going up a little bit, PE ratio, the price to earnings ratio contracting. That's where I get my 5.5% on stocks when all said and done. And I don't think that's, I absolutely stand by that without question. Now, people will say, I don't think I say anything. I don't know. I think Vanguard's actually a little bit more confident than I am. I think Vanguard's got 6.5 or something. I forgot what they had. No, I think they had 5.7. They had something. Oh, international stuff. I don't care about international stocks. Could care less. They might have got rid of the gas tax. Or they might have added. So that's what happened here in Georgia, Denise. They just instituted the gas tax. All in time for our esteemed governor to fly to Davos. Their natural gas prices are going way up because of the projections for about 2 weeks from now, another polar vortex coming in. I don't know if y'all seen that, but a huge polar vortex look like it's bearing down us in the next couple of weeks. So all these fools, it's global warming. Hey, warming doesn't kill people like cooling does. But anyway, the polar vortex is coming back, and people are seeing natural gas prices just skyrocket because of that. It's look, it's not all doom and gloom in the least. So a lady, oh my goodness, I felt so bad. Teresa emailed me. She goes, "Man, I should have put it all in the G fund just like you told me last year." I said, "Nothing to do about it, Teresa." You know what I'm saying? But the facts are, this is a G fund, is a government guaranteed bond fund at the TSP. I said, the facts, I don't know what the G fund is doing now, but it's certainly paying more than it did a year ago. But it's water under the bridge. You know what I'm saying? And there's just no two ways around that. So, I mean, the benefit of the interest rates being higher is that we have higher interest rates on safer money. That's a big deal, man. That's a big deal, which means you're less inclined to take more risk with stocks, which means you're less willing to pay a high PE ratio. You see how all this kind of flows together? You don't have to be a mathematician. In fact, if you are a mathematician, you'll never get this right because you can't think outside the box. You just think that Josh has 4 apples. I say, why? Because my math shows you that Kevin gave you 2 and Chloe gave you 2, thus you have 4. I said, but I don't have 4 apples. I have 0. Oh, no, my math proves you do, but your math is wrong. No, it's not, Josh. Are you saying the mathematicians with the PhDs and Harry Markowitzes and the Nobel Prize? Yeah. All right, here's my man, this guy. Could I discuss withdrawal strategy? All right, there you go. Right on. See, look at this guy. Look at Parcella. Right on, man. 64. So he was born in 1964, Parcella. your first name, John? There is no ticker for the G Fund. The G Fund is solely through the TSP, the Thrift Savings Plan, through the federal government. All right, so let's talk about this. Great question there, John Porcella. All right, so we got, all right, this guy. Oh, dude. This looks like a humble brag here, brother. And I'm saying that with all love. But withdrawal strategy is my man's got he needs 54,000 a year. He's got 1.9 million in total investments, of which the 401k is 1.4. So 54,000 divided by, I don't know how you do that. 54,000. Oops, 1 second. I have my old. Like I said, I dropped my other calculator down the toilet. So he's got a 2.8% distribution rate. So humble Porcella. And I'm loving you, brother. I'm just being silly, but he can do whatever the hell he wants. Now, what I would do if I were him is I'd be living off that 401k money until I'm 70 years old. So let's just say he needs 54,000. We'll just give him 60,000 a year net of taxes. So by the time 10 years comes up and he's 70 years old, he'll have 600,000 less in there. He's still going to have probably about $1 million left with a little bit of growth. So he's going to have RMDs in there. There's no two ways around it. I guess 75 is RMDs, but I'm talking about Social Security. He made it, but he's got all this tax-free money right here for the most part. Yeah, so he's got. I mean, ideally he'd want to be doing some Roth conversions. I don't know, but yeah, he's. See, why would you not retire now? Dude, I don't get it. Why would you retire at 63? Man, look, do whatever you got to do. Dude, he needs $4,500 a month, and he's got $2,300 on a pension. Why the hell would you stay there, brother? Get the hell out of Dodge and go have fun with your wife. Where was I just reading? Was it in Ecclesiastes? I think it was. Let me get another one here. My other Bible is in the other room. So let's get the Amplified Bible. We got the KJV. We got the Irish Bible. We got a Russian Bible up here. But we'll get the Amplified Bible that one of my clients had given to me from Monterey, Virginia. Russ was his name. Great guy. He came to a seminar I was doing in they call it Little Sweden or Little Switzerland. Dude, it's freaking gorgeous. You go up 840. No, what is it? I can't remember the road I used to take to go up there. So it's literally in the middle of the wood, in the middle of the hills, and basically, so it's like a little notch in Virginia. But it's like West Virginia, but still in Virginia because this little notch. And there's a big Civil War battle up there too. Anyway, so I went up. I do seminars up there probably twice a year. And he's like, no one. I met all kinds of people, great clients up there, man. Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, who knew there was money up there? But there was. So one time I had a guy. He had an old Penn Treaty long-term care policy. He was a farmer. And I'll never forget this guy. And he said, should I drop it? I said, dude, you crazy. This is probably 2005. Yeah, 2005. I said, no, basically it wasn't paid up, but he's only paying like $100 a month for he and his wife. And it's like unlimited benefits, which is why Penn Treaty had to go bankrupt, or they got bought out by another insurance company because they couldn't keep, they bought off way more than they could chew. I'll never forget that guy. I went to his house, ate lunch. They had grass-fed beef. Dude, Monterey, Virginia is awesome, man. I'm telling you right now. It's kind of like being in Rapid City, South Dakota. You're in the mountains, but it's way remote though. Way remote. You have to come down the mountain to go into Harrisonburg, which is pretty small itself. But in terms of beauty, in terms of just being out in nature and not hearing anything and seeing the freaking stars and all that. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so let's go to. I don't even have my reading glasses. I am not. I did not get prepared here, did I? Wasn't prepared. Be prepared. It's a lesson that must be shared. Be prepared. All right, so Ecclesiastes is before Isaiah, and right there. And I could have sworn, I'm not going to find it, but he talks about, and again, we think this is King Solomon, hanging out with your wife, essentially, enjoying it with your wife. Yeah, I'm not going to find it off the top of my head because I don't have my other Bible. But anyway, Somebody Ecclesiastes where he says, hang out with your wife. So my man, Russ, that right here. January 11th, 2007. Two life-changing principles, my man said. Timothy 2:15 and Deuteronomy 6:4 and 9. Practicing these principles will pay great dividends. Luke wrote Timothy. Is that who wrote Timothy? It wasn't Paul, was it? Or is it Luke? Who wrote Timothy? I can't. Was it Luke or was it Paul? For some reason I think Luke wrote it, right? Oh, Morgantown, West Virginia. Oh yeah, dude. 100%. Yeah, dude. I just talked. I'm Tennessee. I was talking to people from. They're thinking about moving to Tennessee, not from California. I said it's tough to go wrong with Tennessee, but the only problem is everyone knows it. And I said you should look at Alabama. North Alabama, it's the beginning of the Appalachian Trail, and then South Alabama is freaking Pensacola, except in Alabama. I love Alabama. Cindy says use the Upside app to save more on fuel. Never heard of it. What I recommend? What Scott? What about most people have the median 401k and the average Social Security? I don't know. What would I recommend? I'd like to hear your thinking. Because what is the median 401k? Who cares about that? How about what you got? Throw it out there, brother. Paul. Having second thoughts about old Paul. Yeah, Florence. Oh yeah, dude. Florence, Alabama. Fairhope, Alabama. Oh man. Dwayne says Paul. Having second thoughts about old Paul there, everybody. That doesn't mean like me and my brother are debating this today. Well, not debating, but talking about it. It's just interesting. I did not like an Ecclesiastes, by the way. Let me just share with you one thing. I didn't like this at all. 1 second. Right before a song. There we go. I can't read this. In my reading glasses. All right. This bothers me. I know it's for retirement, brother. You just said the median 401k and Social Security. I need more than that, brother. Need more. Give me more. Make it work, Scott. Help me help you by helping me with the YouTube channel. Denise, where you got to run to? You don't work. What? All right. So anyway, Ecclesiastes. Oh, I get it. So I started talking about Paul, and Denise says, "I'm out of here. I don't want to hear Josh's crazy talk." Denise. Anyway, I did not like this because, I'm not going to read this without my reading glasses. And he talks about there's no good woman. No good woman. He talks about there's might be 1 in 1,000 good men, but there's no good women. And then he's, women will trap you and stuff. And I didn't like that at all, man. I was like, dude, that doesn't sound very divine to me. I know some of you'll be offended by that, but I was like, you should read it yourself. Let's see if I can find. I text my brother, and my brother and I were going back and forth. And my brother crushes, but I said, Ecclesiastes 7:26 through 7:29. Let's just read that. 7:26 through 7:29. I thought this is a financial planning channel. The Lord isn't financial planning. Jeez Louise. How could you talk about taxes and politics? I thought it was a financial planning channel. Oh boy. Like, dude, the good Lord, Heavenly Father, if you can't get financial planning by the good book, don't come to me, because the good book is everything. And this isn't everything. This is a book. The guy, the creator of all the world, all the heavens, all the freaking stars, that is everything. Don't look to me. But anyway, let's keep going here. So Ecclesiastes 7:29, right here, which I am still right here. Behold, I have found, again, this is the Amplified Bible, says the preacher, while weighing one thing after another to find out the right estimate, which I'm still seeking, but I've not found. One upright man among 1,000 have I found, but an upright woman among all those have I not found. Huh? He found one. He found one upright man among 1,000. Has he found? But an upright woman among all those? 1,000 in my harem, he says. He has not found. I'm not digging that. Then he says, 29 here. I found that, uh, and I found that of all the sinful follies, none has been so ruinous and seducing one away from God as an adulterous woman. More bitter than death is the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and whose hands are bands. Whoever pleases God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. I actually kind of get that. Don't turn to the woman instead of God, but it goes both ways there, Solomon. You know what I'm saying? It goes both ways. It sounds like a bitter man who's like, this lady, she let me go, and he's got 1,000. That's why we know it's Solomon, because he got 1,000 in his harem. I'm like, dude, that doesn't seem divinely inspired. I'm sorry. I'm just, I mean, come on. Especially why do you think feminism came to be? You think it's because freaking men, dude. Men were, so I'm just listening to freaking lyrics of all these old rock bands and stuff. It's just freaking pervs, dude. They get, they turn around, they get some freaking chick pregs and they leave her being. No wonder why it's like an abortion is because, and I hate abortion. I think it should be absolutely illegal. But at the end of the day, you can't blame women for being, listening to the freaking lips of men lying to them to get them to open their legs. You could say, well, that's stupid of them. Yeah, so be it, man. But the man is supposed to lead the way. If a man's lying to you and he said, I'll care for you, Karen, I'll care for you. Can you blame Karen for now having 2 abortions and saying men are freaking evil? I don't blame him for that. I mean, is there a problem with feminism? Of course. Jeez, man. But men have some responsibility here too. In fact, men have more responsibility than women. And as such, if men are lying to get chicks in bed, that's freaking evil. And I'm telling you, dude, we've all done it. We've all tried to do it. Man, all right. This is a life planning channel. Right on. Did my man Scott ever respond? Yeah, I used to, right on. So NY Dirk. You never make house calls. Ever, ever, ever. I used to do it, and it was a waste of time. I mean, look, I've met many good people in house calls, 100%. And I've also wasted a hell of a lot of time in house calls. The problem is that you have a certain amount of time to get business done, Dirk. And if you're wasting that time driving, you're not getting business done. You're just not. And if you're wasting that time presenting to a guy who's not that interested, I'll never forget. I was in when I was working in Center City in Philadelphia. I had a client who came to one of my seminars, and he was out in I want to say Doylestown, PA, or something like that. I can't remember where it was. And we're sitting over his kitchen table, and I'm just telling him how bonds work. I'll never forget. This is like 10 years ago, probably more than that now. And I will never forget this. I'm like, dude, you have these bond mutual funds. You're not going to make any money because the rates are low. We know for a fact that bonds, the what you make on bonds is the current yield. It's just there's just no 2 ways around that. And it's just simple math, man. Your current yield is about 90 to 95% of your return on bonds. There's just no other way around that. I'm looking at his bonds. I'm like, your yields are, they're low. Your current SEC yield is 3.25 or something like that. I can't remember. He's like, no. I expect to make 8.5%. I was like, why? He goes, well, that's what they did over the last 20 years. I said, but you're not, the last 20 years when the rates are going down, those days are gone. And he said, no. And I'll never forget. I said, what? Because USA is a great bond shop, but they used to be. I don't know if they still are. He says, why would USA allow that? I said, well, they're not allowing anything. They're saying what the past performance was, but they're not insinuating in the least that that's what you're going to get. This is nuts. We had this I mean, he's not a bad guy. He wasn't angry. I said, I could not get it through his head. I said, you're not going to, because he was relying on that for his rate of return on his portfolio. I said, you're not going to get that in bonds, dude. It's not going to, it's an impossibility. and he was literally relying on an 8 to 8.5% rate of return on bonds to make his retirement plan work. I said, this is crazy. And I'll never forget that. Anyway, so I'm sitting and I drove all the way out there because I was trying to get him to move. What do we have? Back then, we had an annuity that was paying like 5% guaranteed, but he had access to it because he had, I can't remember the whole story of it, but if you had opened this annuity at USAA as a qualified retirement annuity, it was open to new deposits. And if, as long as you had been open for more than 5 years, it's completely liquid, completely liquid. And it was guaranteed at 5% or something like that. It was nuts. Now USA was it was their own damn fault for offering this product, but I got to take care. I'm a fiduciary to my client, so I'm taking care of my client. If he has a better product than what he has, I'm certainly going to tell him about it. And actually, he had a bunch of money over Fidelity in a money market that's really getting him to try to move over to USA as well. And the sales pitch was simple. You got this QRA, it's guaranteed 5%. It's liquid. There's no risk to it at all, other than the solvency of USAA. Your money market is paying 1.5%, and we've heard of break the buck. Break the buck is what happened in 2000 with Federated money market. I think it was a Federated money market in 2007 or 8, where they went below $1 per share. I said, hey, look, that's just a fact. USAA is guaranteeing you this money. Their money market fund is not guaranteeing you crap, as we could see. It was a good sales pitch. It's an easy sales pitch. But he couldn't do it. He couldn't do it because he said, no, my bonds are going to, I said, he goes, and when I'm ready, I'll put more money into my bond fund. I could not believe it. I'm sitting there thinking, dude, I met a guy who was let's just say he was in the medical staff of local New York City professional teams. All right. Not going to say too much more. I went to his house up in North Jersey, and I had done a seminar just over the border in New York. I forgot what it was. Anyway, and I drove to his same thing. He had the nicest guy. He actually got me tickets to he got me tickets to his booth and the hockey team that he was, a medical guy for. He gave me some paraphernalia. Man, it was fun, dude. I enjoyed it. But at that point, I'm on a hefty salary at USAA. So me driving around, I don't care. It's fine. But when I'm on commissions, I need to sell stuff, or if I'm on fees, I need to generate more revenue by getting more people to do business with me. And sitting in a car, we call it windshield time. That's not conducting business. It's just not. And so anyway, both these guys, they both said no. I'm still stunned to this day because they had. And anyway, long story short, I was pretty successful at this, so I will tell you right now. And finally, USA, they put the kibosh on that. They said, we're going to execute what the contract allows, which says you can't put more than a certain amount of money in there. I said, okay. So I was the one who, for me, little old Josh, was the one I raised so much money in this product that USA finally put the kibosh on it. I said, look, if you guys want to be that idiotic, but you work for USA. You can't give away the store. I was like, dude, my clients are my priority. The firm I work for is secondary. That's all there is to it. And if the firm I work for was stupid enough to offer this product and I don't offer it to my client, that's not a fiduciary to my client. I'm sorry. And that's fun times. And I'll never forget people, because people just don't think. So I was new to USA, and I'm looking at the products. I'm reading them. I'm actually reading the stuff, the annuity contracts, because I liked annuities, but. It just said, how I'm looking around, around at me in the cubes I'm in. I was like, why is no one doing this? And everyone's like, oh, yeah, it's an annuity. No one likes annuities. I said, well, no one likes annuities until you present it the way it is. Yeah, I couldn't believe it. And no one was doing it. And then finally they saw my numbers. So I was bringing in money left and right. And, I got a claims for that. Come here, Stone Pablo. And people started following my model. By then USA said, no. We got to put the kibosh on that. USA also had this flexible retirement annuity. They got rid of the QRA and they went to the FRA, which is not quite as good, but it had a lot of benefits there too. And again, no one was using it. I was like, wow, I'm just looking around. Like, no one in my business actually takes the time to understand the products. It's crazy to me. I'm like, why would you not look at the contractual obligations from the insurer? Because there's lots of opportunity for your clients. If you can share your clients. And I just crazy. And it's nuts. And people are like, no, I'm like, what? No, USA, we're just going to go with typical money management. I said, yeah, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, so the point being, windshield time is not a sales pitch. Windshield time is a time drain. If you're in the business of offering financial advice, you don't have enough time to drive for 2 hours to see a client, 2 hours back. That's not a good use of your time. The reason people do that is because they are so scared they're going to lose a client that they'll move mountains to try to get that client. And the reason they're so scared because they're going to lose a client is because they don't have one coming up behind them. Nick Murray, I should do another seminar for a Q&A for budding financial advisors. There's a book called by Nick Murray, The New Financial Advisor. He talks about that. He said the reason you are so focused on this guy who's already told you no, or he says send me information, is because you don't have enough people. You're afraid to solicit. You're afraid to sell. You're afraid to market yourself. And and when I heard that from Nick Murray, I said that's 100% right. So I'm willing. It's easier on my brain to have 2 hours of windshield time, even if I got rejected, because I can drive home and say, well, that didn't work, but hey, I had an appointment today. At the end of the day, I still got bills to pay. You see what I'm saying? So that might be a moral win, but it's a loss, because what I should have been doing seminars, cold calling, cold walking, anything to get my name out there in front of people. And when I'm having windshield time, you're not doing that. I'm telling you right now, guys, if any of you are in sales, it's all about inputs. It's never about outputs. The biggest thing that ever happened to me in my professional career was understanding that, which Nick Murray, New Financial Advisor, the book, that was probably 15 years ago. He had written that, not probably 20 years ago now. Life-changing for me. It's all about inputs. People say, wow, people talk to me all the time. They're like, how do I do a YouTube channel? Blah, 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 blah. I said, you just got to do it. But I got to make it right. No, you don't. Just got to do it. Say what's on your mind and get done. People are going to hear what they want to hear and move on. It doesn't matter. Literally, it doesn't matter. You could be, Jesus talks, and there's biblical stuff about this, about going to a town and, then wiping your, just dusting off your sandals and walking out because they don't want to hear your story. The problem is you're going to be focused so many on these people over here that you're losing these people who are desperate to hear your story, but they'll never hear it because you're focused over here. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's all about inputs, man. Kind of like a Monte Carlo projection. It's all about inputs. What are you using in your Monte Carlo? All right, let's see what. No, T-bills, 90-day money. Jeez, man. You need to have liquidation within 90 days. The problem with that is because that's fleeting. 3.8% might not be 3.8% next year. We don't know. But I agree with you right there. Solomon was turned away from God by his many wives. This is as old as Balaam telling King Balak to send women to the Hebrews to draw them away from God. Well, yeah, but I get that. But that's, 100%. I don't disagree with that, Dwayne. But to say women, it's kind of like saying blacks commit most of the crime, thus blacks are criminals. I don't like that. It's not true. Whites are. King Leopold represents whites, and he killed all these black Africans. Thus, whites are going to kill black. I don't like it. Look, I'm not. Just me talking, man. I'm not. This is not. I just think I'm not going to guard my thoughts because it might offend people who think differently. I'm just not going to do that. And as such, I think out loud, say, I don't like that. I don't like what he said about women in Ecclesiastes. And I'm probably pronouncing it. I don't care. And I think it's bad. And I don't think we should talk like that. And I certainly don't think it's divinely inspired. And my brother said, though, and this was a good counter. He said, it's a good counter to me. He says, my brother said, well, man chooses a woman over God. I see that 100%, but that's literally not what it said. He said he could not find a righteous woman. And then my brother asked, do you feel like parts of the Bible are not divinely inspired? I said, yeah, kind of reminds me of the kings of old, how they were chosen by God. And you say, well, who says? And they says that the king said that, our family line The czars of Russia, we're put in here by God. Well, says who? Well, says us. And so the people of Israel say, we are the chosen, divine by God, and here's our book, which proves it. And I said, that's, it's an interesting thought experiment. We are the ones chosen by God, the people of Israel. How do you know that? Well, we have this book. Okay. I mean, again, that doesn't mean it just is something I think it interesting. And why would people not have the ability? And I'm not saying of you guys here, but to say, yeah, that is a good point, Josh. But then my brother said, and a good point, he goes, so I'm challenging, the old book. And then my brother says, even though Jesus continually references to the Old Testament, it's a good point. See, that's why these debates are fun and so necessary. Because my brother said, well, wait a second. You believe in Jesus 100%. Well, Jesus continually refers to the Old Testament. Good point. Good point. And I texted back to him. I said, I guess my thing is that God is so glorious, so incredible, that I suspect he may be greater than just a religion, if that makes sense. And I said, to paraphrase C.S. Lewis, the best way to turn people away from God is to take them to a church. Now, C.S. Lewis didn't say it exactly like that, but does religion bring us closer to God or away from God? Is kind of where I'm going with this. And at this stage, I think there's a lot to be said that religion doesn't bring us closer to God. In fact, I was just reading yesterday that apparently the Pope was cussing, like dropping F-bombs and stuff. And some people, and I haven't read the whole article. I just saw a headline and saw the first paragraph. I'm sure it's been debunked. I say, yeah, Pope shouldn't be cussing, man. That's not good. Anyway, the point being is it's a religion represented by the Pope. Isn't it interesting too that the Catholics are all big on Copernicus, but they weren't big on Galileo? Weird. I mean, kind of strange. It's like, so religion has brought us closer to God, and the Jesuits were the founder of the Big Bang Theory. Has the Big Bang Theory brought us closer to God or away from God? The Jesuits are priests. They're Catholics. Copernicus is cool. Galileo is bad. Has that, that whole diatribe against Galileo, where the Catholics, put him in house arrest, has that brought us closer to God or away from God? Jesuits, Big Bang, has that brought us closer to God or away from God? You see what I'm saying? The Pope cussing brought us closer to God or away from God? It's just Catholics. That's what I was raised. Well, I wouldn't say I was raised a Catholic, but it's, we are Catholic. And the lower C, the universal, I guess the capital, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, so then I just asked, kept going. And then my brother says, I'm surprised you feel that way about Paul. When I read Philippians, I'm like, there's no way this isn't divinely inspired. And I said, yeah. I said, the history of the Bible, by the way, is very interesting. Why the Protestants get rid of a bunch of books in the late 1800s. Don't get me started on the Catholics either, but the Jesuits in particular. And then I said, well, remember, there has to be some truth for people to fall for a lie. So, my brother saying Philippians is divinely inspired, he said, I don't see how you could, that is not divinely inspired. I said, no, I get it. But that in of itself doesn't mean Paul is, if that makes sense. I get what he's saying. There is a part of that that's one. I'm not saying I'm against Paul. I'm just saying it's something I think about. Not to we have this noggin, this lump of coal in here, not to use it and to say, I'm interested. I don't think that's doing your faith any good. I think it's okay to say I have questions, which is why a lot of people are turning from Christianity, because they say, hey, I have questions. Oh, you're banished from life. How dare you? You're going to the pits of hell because I have a question. Yes. See, I hate that crap. It's kind of like when he asked about the climate scientists. I have a question. How'd you get the hockey? Oh, the hockey stick is proven. Oh, evolution's proven. We have it. I got questions. Relativity. I go, oh, okay. I don't like that. I don't want to be part of that crap. I like to learn. I like to read. I like to think. Anyway, so I just find it interesting. And if we go back to the like the Dead Sea Scrolls and stuff, there's some. Don't even get me started on Josephus. There's some stuff in here that is inherently not divinely inspired that Christians will use as an argument in favor of God. And I said, I don't think that's the way to do it. You know what I'm saying? And we even look at the original Hebrew and all that. I think there's a lot of questions that you should ask. because I'm not sure that the mainstream of any authority is going to tell the truth. And if that makes me a crazy man, I don't care. I don't care. I like Josephus. I got Josephus, his writings back there. You can see that big old book of Josephus. But I used to fall for the idea that Josephus talked about Jesus having been risen from the dead, and I recognize they put that in there, man. They being, I don't know, whoever the freaking people were, the 300s, they put it in there. Hey, but I fell for it. Now, with that said, excuse me. If we go back to Gary Habermas, I'm not going to find his book. There's my man Fritz's book. Where's Habermas? Gary Habermas, man, I know I can find this. Now the pressure's on. You guys are going to leave me behind. I'm only got that 78 people because I'm talking about God right here. Historical Jesus of Gary Habermas. He's got a lot of sources that are outside of just Josephus and certainly outside of the scripture itself, which is good because I think you have to have an argument that says that looks pretty solid, pretty sound fundamentally, and a lot of good stuff, Pliny. And I haven't looked at this for a couple months, but a lot of good stuff in here. But again, initially I had thought Josephus was the answer to the proof of Jesus, and now is quickly debased of that assumption. Oh boy, annuities are garbage. Oh boy, that's a rookie right there, man. Rookies state stuff like this, and you know how he's a rookie because he's got 26 years, so he's new here, new obviously on the channel, but he's new to investing. And I guarantee, I don't know. I chuckle when I hear people say annuities are garbage, cash is trash, all that stuff's just dumb. I'm never buying bonds. I said the same thing. And now I'm 52 years old and I own a third of my portfolio is bonds. Right here, my man Jeff says, Fresh Jeff, last week, 8-week T-bill that I reinvested was 4.559. I've not, oh my goodness. Dude, no kidding. Jesus did more for women by far than anyone else. By far. I don't deny that in the least. Don't put words in my mouth. No, not in the least. All I said is I did not like this. The statement of women, he could not find any. That's all I said. I did not say anything about Jesus. No. I do not put that on me, man. No, sirree, Bob. 100% with the prostitutes, with the freaking I'm drawing a blank. The freaking the group that everyone hated back then. Yeah, there's what the hell? I can't remember. I can't believe what that's called. Obviously the prostitutes. Obviously the I've drawn a blank on the. There's a group of people. They belong to a certain realm that people despised back then. They thought they were better than those people. I almost want to say it's SC something, but I can't remember. But what about New Jersey Devil's doctor? Well, I don't get what you're saying. Cute humor. Larry Harner. No, you did not get a good return on bonds in 2022, Harry. No, sir. Now, if you bought them in October, yes, but if you bought them in not in 2022, there was no good return on bonds if you had them for the whole year. And I would look at Hermit money. I wouldn't pay any. I wouldn't pay any guy who says annuities are garbage. I would pay no mind to him. That's a silly argument to say, and I'm not into silly stuff here. I want. I have no time for it, frankly. Oh, 100%. So Dwayne says, I agree. So with sales, just here's my pitch. You want it or not? See you. 100%. It's just that simple. Just that simple, man. Time is money in all professions, brother. I'm in right north of Atlanta and across from Alpharetta. My man Dirk, I was thinking about getting signatures for housebound clients as opposed to sales calls. I was thinking I'm getting signatures for house. Thanks, M&T Bank. Raised Catholic. I'm not. I just want to be clear. I'm not bashing any. I don't want to sound like I'm. I don't. I have problems with the Jesuits. Let's just put it this way. I do. I'm not going to lie to you there. I got problems with them. Even though my brother went to a Jesuit high school, you know what I'm saying? Cheverus up in Maine. I think in a lot of these woke universities are Jesuits, if memory serves. I think even Georgetown is. I can't remember, but I know there's a lot of the. I'm not sure the Jesuits are here for our benefit. I think that might be a false. What's the word I'm looking for? Not false flag, but where they go over, hey, get you over here. I'm not so sure that I follow the. And don't forget the Catholics with a liberation theology. That's not biblical. That's a lot of Jesuit crap there. Liberation theology that's the beginning of CRT, critical race theory, by the way. It's just Marxism dressed up in a priest collar. That's all it is. And Marxism is evil, man. And you can't get around that. Does that mean capitalism is great? No. Entrepreneurism is 100%. Adam Smith was spot on in that regard. But what they've done is they've allowed they've taken over the term capitalism to mean, Bill Gates and the monopoly guy with his monocle. Monopoly got a monocle. And that's capitalism. No, it's not. That's freaking. Again, just going back to Pfizer donating $1 million to Mitch McConnell. That's not capitalism. That's not. And I sit there and I say to myself, look, I get it. People think, I used to like Josh. Now he's gone off the. That's fine. It's a journey, dudes. It's a journey. I don't understand how people don't get on a journey. Why would you? People say you've changed. Yeah, okay. I never understood that about politicians either. I've always been like this since I was born at my mom's hip. I'm like, yeah, what? You haven't changed? And no, I'm like, well, then that means you don't know your arguments very well. Because the way you solidify your arguments is to hear the other side. When you hear the other side, you have to be open to discussion about it, man. You see what I'm saying? And after this last 3 years, hearing Leanna Wen and I was listening to this channel yesterday, and they're from 2021, and the guy was posting these idiots talking about this and how this can protect grandma, and like if you don't do it, we should treat you like you're a drunk driver and stuff. And that was Leanna Wen as well. I'm just no. Everything is up to challenge. Everything is up to challenge, and it's fun. It's fun to say, I'm curious. But 80% of the population is not. 20% are. And so of that I'm part of the 20% I'm very proud of. Does that mean I have all the answers? Of course not. Does that mean I won't be wrong? Oh, no. Hell, I was a guy who said don't buy bonds. Now I'm saying the otherwise. Was I wrong back then? No, I was right back then. I'm right now. Things change. Anyway, let's keep going. Here's Cindy. That's 100%. It's not just Catholics. We sent, I didn't like this either. So we sent Maddie when she was a baby. There's a daycare thing run by a Southern Baptist. And basically they had, little flyers out there saying how the Pope was evil. And I said, man, I don't like that either. See, that's what I'm saying. That's religion. That's religionism is taking over. And I was like, I think God is so much bigger than all that. Oh man. I mean, regardless of where space time is and all that, I don't believe in any of that crap. I do not think Polaris is 4,000 trillion miles away and just stays there for friggin' millennial on top of millennial. I don't believe that for 2 seconds. But if I'm wrong, either way, God created that. God did. You see what I'm saying? And if I'm right, God created everything anyway. Why make it religion as if religion is God and not? That's my issue. I think I posted something the other day about Muslims and some of their sayings, which I thought was pretty interesting too. And I used to be, Muslims, can you imagine? Jews, mean, there's so much profound people of all sorts and sizes to sit there and say, because they're a Muslim or a Jew or a Jesuit or anything, I can't listen to anything they say. Like, can you imagine going through life like that? I can't, man. Atheists, even atheists got something to say. Not much, I grant you. I mean, evolutionists, they have something to say. Again, not much, but I mean, I'm not saying you spend all your time listening to a silly argument by atheists, but you should hear what they have to say. But why do a lot of people like Cindy, go religious or spiritual as opposed to religious? Because she had questions. Yeah, Vaughn, go ahead, man. Yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's don't get me started. John Wheeler's here, everybody. Just let you know. Okay. Yeah, right on. Okay, individual. Right on. Yeah, John, I used to offer right capital on an individual basis. I stopped doing that because I told people, I didn't want to be guiding them in the right capital, and I still got a bunch of emails on that. And I said, I just got to stop this. You know what I'm saying? So sorry, I just don't offer that anymore. I guarantee, Mark, you are not getting a 6.5% guaranteed annuity. I guarantee. All right, so I guarantee flip it. All right, so anyone still here? All right, I hope Mark's still here. Samaritans, that's it. Samaritans, yes, sir. Look at Dougie B. All right, so here's a problem with annuities and salespeople from annuities. Mark, you still here? Don't let me. I'm not trying to pick on you, brother. I just want to talk about this because this is a problem. I think my wife. I gotta go get some. I'm gonna take you guys with me so I can get some water. It's funny. Am I still not in the belief that the woman can't have access to a man's resources? She'll remain with him. I don't know what you're, Carl. You're saying a woman. Right, I gotta go over here. Hold on just a second. Bear with me a second, guys. Oh boy, Pablo. Hold on just a second. I don't know why the screens are. I gotta get some water. Oh boy, I love you, Pablo. Hold on just a second. I'm coming. You're a good boy. You're a good boy. I love you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Good doggy. Here comes Pablo. All right. Oh. Yeah, so a woman can do anything. All women, no. I mean, it's again, a woman, yeah, 100%, but all women, no. Yeah, get yourself, walk around in bare feet in the grass. Oh man, seeing a flower, just a butterfly. I mean, literally, when oh man. A woman's love is conditional. The Bible speak of this. Okay, conditional on you having resources. I don't think my wife's conditional on me having resources. I could be wrong. I mean, certainly but I just, okay, I get it. We disagree. I mean, I don't say disagree. I just don't like what it said in Ecclesiastes about women. I don't like it. I'm sorry. I get what Carl, you and I get you. All right, so let me, is Mark still here? All right, so, well, you can't say, now I got to let Cindy out. All right, come on, man, you guys are, jeez Louise. How about dogs? Let's look at the biblical thing on dogs. If I have no resources, will my dogs hang out? No, they won't. All right. You can't, Tim, I tend to agree with you there, but capitalism in of itself doesn't, I mean, just because you impose capitalism doesn't mean you're going to have less poverty. I agree with what you're saying. I just don't like the broad brush. If we have capitalism, there'll be less poverty. I don't know if I believe that. But if the goal is to get as many people out of poverty, being a free market, entrepreneur oriented society is 100% the only answer. All right. Oh, I definitely love my man Dustin. Dustin kicks ass. Love Dustin. He actually did a thing. I don't know what the kids do. I don't know what it's called. All right. Is Mark still gone? He's, oh, man. I'm so gone. Mark would be here. 100%. Oh, man. All right. So I want to, all right. So what, oh, man. How do you know? So Mark is saying he got a guaranteed annuity from Transamerica at 6.5% 3 years ago. No, he did not. He did not get a guaranteed annuity at 6.5%. How do we know this? Because Market Call Transamerica says when the annuity matures, 7 years, 10 years, I put $100,000 in there. We'll just give a simple interest. Will you stroke me a check for $165,000? All right, that's how it's guaranteed. They're going to say no. We'll guarantee you a 6.5% payout on your income benefit. That's not a 6.5% guaranteed interest rate or return. Oh, it drives me crazy that people don't get this, man. And not Mark. It's just the way is that Mark? Whoever said that? What's his name? Yeah, Mark Ohio. It's not. It's just it drives me up the wall. You have two different categories in variable annuities, and I know this is a variable annuity because there's no annuity fixed that's paying 6.5% 3 years ago. No way. So I know it's a variable. What happens is you drop $100,000 in. You're going to have an income base that's probably going to grow 5%. So let's say you're 60 years old. They'll probably guarantee you that by the time you're 70, you'll have a $200,000 income base, right? So thus they're going to, in this case, they're going to guarantee you a little bit less than that, but still, just for simplicity. So you dump $100,000 into annuity. In 10 years, they're going to say that $100,000 will provide you an income base of $200,000, for which you can take 5% a year off that for the rest of your life. Guaranteed $10,000 a year. Might be more if the markets go beyond our fees. It never will be, but it could be. All right. So you're saying, okay, I'm going to turn over $100,000 to an annuity company. They're going to guarantee me basically $10,000 a year for the rest of my life at 70 years old. That's what they're going to say. That's a 7.2% guarantee rate of return. But it's on the income. I hope you guys understand this. On the income base. All right. I'll 100%, Doug. I'll tackle that here in just a second because I think it's a big deal. On an income base. So you have this income base going up, but your account value is going like this. Probably never going to be bigger than the income base because the friggin' fees that are thrown in there. So now the question is $100,000 today guaranteed to pay me $10,000 a year in 10 years? Is that a good investment or not? You have to simplify this. You have to simplify it. Reverse engineering. You say, look, I got $100,000 in there right now. I got $100,000. If I put that in a guaranteed annuity, a variable annuity, I'm guaranteed to get $10,000 a year for the rest of my life in 10 years. Is that good? And that's taxed as ordinary income too, but just FYI. Is that good or bad? If it's an IRA. If it's a non-IRA, the principal, well, actually, that's not true. It's LIFO. So whatever comes out, it's taxed as ordinary income until you get into your basis. Anyway, so I have $100,000 here. I can put it into this variable annuity. It's guaranteeing me a rate of return where I have $10,000 a year as an income base in 10 years, or I can do something else with it. That's all that matters. Nothing else should be discussed on this, but they don't do that. The annuity guys, this is why my man, the other guy who said all annuities are trash. In some ways, I get his frustration, but in other ways, he doesn't know what he's talking about because not all annuities are trash. It's so freaking dumb to say that. It drives me up the wall. But then I see things. Yeah, Vaughn, ask question, brother. You can ask question. But then I see things like this. And probably 2 years into my channel, I talked about whole life insurance because I like whole life insurance if it's done correctly, and most of the time it's not. Not a fan of universal life, just FYI. Not a fan of variable universal life. I've sold a couple. I don't hate them, but as long as people know what they're getting into. Whole life and universal life are two completely different things. Don't make the mistake that thinking they're the same. Everybody does. Whole life insurance is literally guaranteed for your whole life. As long as you make the premiums, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. All right. Now, with whole life insurance, you can actually get a pretty significant cash value that's growing tax free if you fund it properly. I'm not going to get that here right now. But when I said that, some guy who was a rookie, I could tell because he made a rookie mistake. He said, "Oh, I'm a insurance guy, and we're paying 6.5% or 6% or whatever it was on our whole life policies." I said, "Yeah, crediting rate." He goes, "No, interest rate." I said, "No, it's not an interest rate. It's not. It's a crediting rate." He goes, "No, you're wrong." I said, "Right now, run up and do an in-force illustration. I drop $100,000 in there. In 10 years, do I have $165,000 for which I can get out of that account?" Because if you're paying 6.5% interest, even if it's simple, I should have $165,000 after 10 years. This is pretty simple stuff. I'll never forget what he said. He goes, "Well, no, because you got to pay commissions, you got to pay the cost of insurance, you got to do all this." I said, "Exactly. So how much is a guaranteed cash value in 10 years?" It was like $100,000, maybe 110. I said, "So how are you selling this at 6.5% interest rate?" And he's like, "Because it is." I said, "If I pull my money out in 10 years and I only have $110,000, that is not a 6.5% interest rate." And he goes, "Well, 20 years." I said, "What's the guaranteed cash value in 20 years?" It's like 130 or something like that. I can't remember what it was. I said, "So where's this 6.5% guaranteed interest rate you keep talking about?" And he couldn't fathom the difference between crediting rates and interest rates. Crediting rates are what they pay you before fees and commissions, cost of insurance, and all that stuff. An interest rate, I put $100,000 in, I have $106,000 a year from now. Thus, my interest rate was $6,000, and I can get that $106,000 by calling my guy and saying, "Send me a check for my account balance." And I'll never forget this guy because I was like, I know he worked for Mass Mutual because I knew his sales pitch because I'm familiar with these guys. I said, "I can't believe you're doing this. You're hurting the whole insurance industry by making these false claims." Here's Mark Ohio, not him, but his Transamerica guys hurting the annuity business by making false claims, which are not justified. And this is a problem I have with the regulators, by the way. Insurance guys are subject to the state regulation. Financial investment guys are subject to federal and SEC. So the insurance guys can say whatever the hell they want to say. It's crazy. Investment guys can't say anything. Literally, for me to say, this is one of the reasons I had to leave USA because I posted on my LinkedIn page that, man, Roth conversions, you always want to be looking at them or something like that whenever the markets are down. I forgot when it was, but so when the markets are down, it's a great time to consider Roth conversion, something like that. They said, "You can't say that." They dinged me, which meant being dinged at USA meant that you could literally lose your bonus, and your bonus was huge. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars. I said, "What? You can't say anything about tax stuff." I said, "I'm a financial advisor." "No, you leave that to tax advisor." Ooh, look at that orange. I said, "What are you talking about? I'm not saying they're gonna. I'm not telling how they're gonna do it. I'm just saying they should think about it." "No, you can't." I'm like, "What?" But the insurance guys can say all this stuff. It's crazy. So I can't say anything. Insurance guys say everything, and everyone's less. And that's why I post on Advisor Perspectives. This guy said, "Oh, it freaking ticked me off." He said he made an argument that the SEC is not what he's, and I appreciate his argument. I'm probably not going to be able to find the article. Yeah, I can't remember. But something about the SEC. Oh, they're subcontracting out their they're subcontracting out their regulatory environment to I forgot what it was. And I said, well, the SEC, they've never been good at regulating, as we could see by, and I just went my diatribe about the SEC and FINRA and all that time because it's stupid. Long-term capital management. Bernie Madoff, what's his name, Sam Bankman-Fried, he fried your money. Bernie Madoff with your money. LTCM was not long-term. That's for damn sure. And the list goes on and on and on. But your old buddy Josh says, hey, it's a good time to consider Roth IRAs. Oh, the SEC is going to crack down on us. Oh, I was like, you guys are crazy. How about the idea of determining a bond fund's average maturity duration, keeping that for many years' expenses and cash? You wish you had done that in early 2021. You got killed in 2022, man. I don't get it. I don't understand. That means how about the idea of determining a bond fund's average maturity or duration and keeping that many years? Oh, in cash. Okay, he wanted to keep it in cash. Yeah, that's fine. But duration in of itself isn't, well. Actually, I guess last year was a pretty good duration thing here. So remember duration. If you have a stock, if a fund has a duration of 5, that means with every 1% increase in interest rates, 100 basis points, we're talking 1% increase in interest rates, the price of that bond fund will drop by 5%. That's what duration means. So the higher the duration, the more the price will drop when the interest rates go up. Conversely, the higher the duration, the more the price will go up when interest rates go down, which is why I'm so big on longer bonds. And no one is, because they think inflation. I'm like, then why is a 10-year treasury at 3.25 or 3.5? Doesn't make sense. Long bonds have a lot more upside than short bonds simply because the duration risk. But duration is like volatility. Volatility is a two-way street. Volatility on the upside and volatility on the downside. Only people care about is the downside volatility. But a high duration fund looks pretty attractive to me, 100%. Yeah, so my man, Doug says, as a Christian, how's the righteous people of other religions cannot get to heaven? 100%, Doug. I don't know how God does. And I find it arrogant to think we all know. If they say, if you can't get to heaven through Jesus, explain Abraham. And there's no Jesus for Abraham. So and they have an explanation for it. I don't find it all that great, actually. I just think we don't know. I think we don't know. And I think at the end of the day, and in fact, we know that the devil believed in Jesus. Absolutely. The devil did. We can argue that the devil, he believed in Jesus, but he thought that he could beat Jesus back, but he still believed that Jesus had some kind of divinity towards him for sure. I never like the idea that it's my way or no way. I don't think God is. I don't think we should be boxing up God like that. I don't know who goes to hell. I don't know who goes to heaven. At the end of the day, we probably all are getting some kind of material that we all know how to be a good person. And this is where the whole thing with Paul, faith through works isn't needed. It's, just faith. Well, faith in what exactly? And then James says, well, you need works to validate your faith. I absolutely think that. I like James. So let's just put it this way. The James versus Paul debate, I favor James. You have to have works to validate your faith. And that's not saying Paul's not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying at the end of the day, there's a lot of, and even Ecclesiastes, Solomon says you're going to sin all the time and just, okay. It's the idea that someone who's 16 years old says, I know how to get to heaven. Those other people over there, they don't. And isn't it somewhat self-serving too? Something else I've been thinking about a lot lately. If you're solely living is solely to get to heaven, i.e., I'm gonna do everything I can to get to heaven, as opposed to I'm gonna do everything I can to benefit mankind that was created God's image. Isn't that somewhat self-serving in a way? I haven't really put much thought into it, but I don't know, I was listening to watch, I can't remember. Somebody's talking like, well, you do this, you go to heaven, so do that. It's like that. I'm not so sure that's the way God would want us to look at. Like, do this and get to heaven. Do this and get. I'm kind of thinking, do this because it's the right thing to do, and the reward will be heavenly. If that makes sense. Interesting, isn't that? I'm not sure we're supposed to be. I will do this because it gets me to heaven. Robotic. I think we're supposed to be divinely inspired to do good to serve God's people, like Jesus did. Something to think about. All right. What makes a good financial planner? Yeah, friggin'. Um, I just you got to know. You got to be willing. What makes a good financial planner? You have to have some people skills, right? And show people you care. I mean, you gotta be a student of the business. And when I say the business, it's not investments. Investments are silly. You put them in an index fund and be done with it, or put them. I don't care. I had a guy email today. What should I do with it? I said, man, Wellington, Wellesley, Fidelity Balance Fund, cash. I don't care. I literally could care less what people do with their money. Just don't pay a 1.5% fee. But I do care if people don't have a power of attorney, a durable power of attorney. If they don't have their homeowners insurance, there's a guy here in Georgia. He, the hurricane or tornado went, whatever it was, went through his house. He's homeless now, but he didn't have homeowners insurance. He's got a GoFundMe page. I'm like, wait a second. Wait a second. You knew about homeowners insurance just like everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't. I just told my wife, I'm not sure. I'd be wanting to give that guy money because he had a chance to get homeowners insurance like everybody else. I don't know his lot in life or anything, but I don't like that, man. That's like freaking getting homeowners insurance when your house is on fire. I said, yeah, that doesn't make me feel very good about this guy. I don't know the story. I just saw it on the news. Like, yeah, it gave me a, I've been paying for homeowners insurance my whole life, and it ain't cheap. Yeah, so you're not gonna have insurance, and when the house gets hit, I mean, what were you expecting to? You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. Anyway, so we talk about homeowners insurance. We talk about auto insurance to make sure they got the proper coverage if they need an umbrella. Um, we talk about filing for Social Security, whether or not they need to do Roth conversions. It's just a lot going on. And we talk investments. It bores me. I've been talking investments for over 25 years. I just can't tell you how it bores me it is. That just, it's so stupid because you're like, man, a diversified. Look, my portfolio consists of Wellington, a little bit of VDIGX, a couple individual stocks that I just bought on the fly. That's it. I have no clue how well it's doing. I don't care. I mean, I don't want it to go down, but it's just like nothing bores me more. It's like the WNBA. It's like, oh, the W. I literally could care less what the WNBA does. The only reason I brought to my attention, I think Salty Cracker posted a video or somebody at the WNBA wants a share of the profits. What they say, they want the same share of the profits as the regular NBA. And I think it's Salty. I might not have been Salty Cracker. He goes, well, in that case, you owe each player in the WNBA owes the league $83,000 because the WNBA loses so much money. That was pretty funny. I don't care, man. It's the Morning Star. We have this fund over that fund. It's just all such a waste of time. Again, I like investing. I like dividends. I like dividends. I like fees that are low. But if you're checking out every day, you're making a mistake. If you're thinking there's a better mousetrap, you're making a mistake, dude. There's always a better mousetrap. There's always someone bigger, so you better watch out. There's always someone bigger, so you better watch out. There's always someone bigger, so you better watch out. Big man, such a shadow mind. That's an old hardcore band out of California called Uniform Choice. Uniform Choice out of Ventura, California, something like that, Southern California. Those guys kicked ass. There's always someone bigger, so you better watch out. Anyway, point being, there's always a better fund out there, always a better investment. Grab the market and be done with it. And the way you grab the market is index funds. Grab the market, be done with it. Recognize the market goes up and the market goes down. All right, it's just all there's to it. You're not going to outperform the market on a regular basis. It's just not going to happen. And even if you did, flip and do. I mean, you're going to outperform by 5 basis points. Wow. Or I always chuckle. Well, we outperformed the market. Oh yeah, when? Well, 2008. Oh, okay. So the market was down 37%. What were you down? 34. Oh, pat you on the back. You outperformed the market. Yeah, it's great, son. Yeah, you like that, my horns? Yeah, I just think at the end of the day, we got to make sure that if something happens to old Josh, the old Charlotte's taken care of. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if something happens, and I was talking to estate planning is a huge issue. I talked to a guy just yesterday. He's going to leave his daughter when he and his wife die a pretty significant amount of money. And, they're talking about need for a trust. I said, we're a living trust. We're not talking irrevocable trust. Stop it. Living trust. I said, why? He goes, well, a probate. Probate's not that big of a deal. Lots of ways to get around probate, just proper titling of your assets. Some assets are going to go through probate. I don't think it's that big of a deal. It can be if you have a lot of paperwork tied up into it, but probate is just not that big of a deal. But then he dropped. He goes, well, I just want to make sure my daughter doesn't get taken advantage of. I said, talk to me about that. And he goes, well, she was hot to trot for this guy, and I'm paraphrasing. And they thought, they're all that in a bag of chips. And then I guess, then he just left her. I said, yeah, that's a good point. Because in estate planning, we want to protect against creditors and predators and in-laws and outlaws. So if your daughter is marrying an ogre and your daughter is just, she's too able to be deceived by Mr. Ogre, we want to make sure that your money doesn't go to Mr. Ogre when he has your daughter put everything in a joint title and then takes his money off and runs with the floozy down the street. And a living trust can help with that regard, and absolutely. But remember, a living trust, the most important part of a living trust is a trustee, the person who's going to manage the trust. So if we're setting up a living trust to make sure the daughter doesn't get taken advantage of by in-laws and outlaws, well, who's going to be the trustee? Well, inherently, you don't want to make the daughter the trustee. That doesn't make any sense. So you need to have a third-party trustee, and that's always a challenge. I'm telling you right now, folks, you don't think you want to be a trustee. I'm telling you, it ain't all that in a bag of chips, especially if there's some family dynamic problems there. So that's one time where a corporate trustee from a bank, even though it costs a hell of a lot of money, might work because they're the bad guys. And at USA, when I lived, we used to talk about this. We had trust services. We had a trusteed IRA, which is actually pretty cool, but it wasn't cheap, and it didn't do anything really until even though it cost money, but it would never really do anything until you were incapacitated or you died. And then it would come in and it would be a big deal because it, again, protect your assets from in-laws and outlaws and creditors and predators. And in USA, the trust departments, the people do that. The problem was the trust department at USA and a lot of trust departments, they're not up to snuff. There's not enough quality people who know that stuff. And as such, a lot of trust departments, it can be very problematic. That's in my experience. A lot of trust departments have bitten off more than they can chew in terms of managing the trust for which they're responsible of. All right. What will take 20 years to break even? Yeah, I'm a big fan of immediate annuities, man. I mean, I don't know your specifics, Brad, but I'm a fan of immediate annuities. Oh. Vaughn's unsubscribing. Good. Does my breath stink? It's just water, man. It's just filtered water. No fluoride. No fluoride in my filtered water, Pablo. Let's toke, buddy. Look, Pablo's going to toke. Oh, yeah, man. Rock and roll, man. Rock and roll. Last night, I did recalculate my pension. I just lost. No, you didn't. No, you didn't lose 25% of your pension. All right. we'll wind up here. Why did Johnny Reno not lose 25% of his pension? All right, I'm hoping he's still here. Johnny Reno says he recalculated his pension. He just lost 25% of his pension from last year. No, he did not. All right. Who wants to take a guess of why Johnny Reno, why would he say such crazy talk? I got freaking cankersaurs killing me. Look at that guy. Yeah, rock and roll, man. Who wants to take a guess at why Johnny? Well, which one though? That's the thing. Like which interpretation, Gary? I mean, that's the thing with the Bible. Is there's so many different interpretations running around. Which one? I see. This is the issue. It's like whatever. Pablo's Colsey's through bloodshot eyes. Yeah. Well, I know that. That's my man Jeff, and he's not here anymore. I don't know what happened to Jeff. I'm sure I didn't offend him because Jeff is unable to be offended. But he took a picture of me with those eyes with those horns one time, like 3 years ago. It cracked me up. Nope. Bye. Yeah, maybe. All right, so I'm with Bob at this point. All right, so let's go back because this is an important question or comment. What happens with these pensions, my friends, is they're based on the current interest rates for your rollover amount. All right, so just hear me out for a second. This is critically important to understand. The pension amount that he would get has not changed. If anything, it's probably gone up a little bit. I don't know, but it hasn't gone down. The lump sum amount has dropped because the interest rates have gone up. The lump sum amount is based on the amount the company has to have in there to pay him $500 a month of pension. It's critically, no, it's not it. No, good, all good stuff. But a pension is based on when you file how much they have to, when you take the pension, if they're going to pay you $500 a month for 30 years, they have to have a lump sum in there to provide that income. That lump sum is based on the interest rates at that time and your life experience, essentially. Pensions are usually not usually annuitized. They're not actually. A lot of people roll these over into lump sums. And so now Johnny Reno is saying my lump sum is down 25%. Yes, it is, but the pension amount is not. I was working with a guy just the other day, this exact scenario. I'll never forget, by the way, when I lived in Harrisonburg, one of my bigger client bases was Merck. Merck had a manufacturing facility, just a conveyor belt thing up in Elkton, Virginia. And Merck did their employees right. But I'll never forget, man, every October or so, November, October, they were looking at their lump sum is all based on the interest rate at this time. I tell you, man, it was crazy because the interest, and I never understood. I said, why, if the interest rates go up, does their lump sum go down? I had this guy, Tom, Vietnam vet. I love Tom, man. Tom freaking kicked ass. I wonder if he's still around. Anyway, forgot his last name. Tom was he's a crusty guy. But anyway, long story short, Tom, he lost half his finger in the plane. Yeah, no, what happened was his ring finger. That's what it was. He was jumping off the back of his pickup truck, and his ring finger got stuck, and it literally just ripped it off. He just had a stub there. Isn't that crazy? That's what it was. He was jumping off the back of his pickup truck, and the ring got stuck in something, and it just literally ripped his finger off. It was crazy. Anyway, so Tom. But anyway, so never forget. So we're sitting there. So in October, sorry, let's roll this over now. He goes, well, I can't roll it over. No, I got to wait till January. And it was $800,000, whatever it was. I don't know. He goes, all right, well, we can plan $800,000 in our planning software, right? He goes, no. I said, why? He goes, you got to wait for the interest rates to come out. I think it was November. So what do you mean? He goes, well, if the interest rates go up, I'm going to lose probably, $75,000, $100,000 off my lump sum. I said, why? I never understood it. And then he explained it to me. I said, oh. And Tom was just a dude, you know what I'm saying? Just a guy. So that makes sense. So basically, they're calculating your pension amount, your how much you get every month, based on the lump sum needed at that time with the current interest rates and your age. If the current interest rates are 5, that means they need less of a lump sum, which is what you would roll out. If the current interest rates are 1, that means they need more of a lump sum, which is what you would roll out. So now what we have to do, the guys working with the other day, we're same concept. We're going through this 100%. Pablo was so stoned. We're going through this, and I said, but the interesting thing, we'll call this guy Gary, who I was working with. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but we'll say, Gary, now the pension looks so much better than it did before. Because now, let's just say at $1 million lump sum with a $4,500 a month pension. All right, so you have two choices: $1 million lump sum with a $4,500 a month pension. $4,500 a month times 12 is $54,000 a year. That $1 million lump sum is $1 million. That $54,000 a year would be a 5.4% distribution yield. You take the $4,500 a month that he gets a pension times by 12, and you say, I can take $54,000 a year guaranteed with no cost of living, or I can take the lump sum at $1 million. In that case, you probably take the lump sum because 5.4 isn't great. But now, on the other hand, it's still $4,500 a month or $54,000 a year on a pension, but now the lump sum is only $800,000 because the interest rates went up so much. So now instead of a 55.4% distribution rate, now it's 54 divided by 800 is 6.6, 6.75. So if you were to come to me today, I say I got $800,000 lump sum, or I can get $54,000 a year as a guaranteed pension with 100% survivor benefit. If anyone would tell you to take the lump sum, they're freaking idiots. You take the pension 100 times out of 100. Obviously, maybe 90 times out of 100, because you're getting 6.75% distribution yield with 100% survivor benefit to your spouse. Can't take that. You got to freaking. That's a slam dunk. Whereas before, everything's the same except the lump sum is $1 million, but your pension is still $54,000. Now it's only 5.4%. That doesn't look as good, does it? The pension's still the same, though. It's still $54,000 a year. I hope that makes sense. That's a big deal because a lot of people are going, "Oh my goodness, I've lost money." No, it was always based on the pension amount. How much they need the lump sum to be to give you that pension amount, and you can choose whichever you want. Anyway, all right. Yeah, look, dude. I mean, I get it. I've my parents went to divorce. You think the courts weren't stacked on favor of my mom? You're crazy. I get it. I get it. I just, at the end of the day, I don't like what it said in Ecclesiastes that I could not find a good woman among the 1,000. I found a few good men. I don't like it. I'm sorry. Just like I look at my wife, and there's no better woman in the world than that. And I look at, there are a lot of scumbag men. Are there a lot of scumbag women? Absolutely. My personal experiences with my better half is she kicks ass and take names. Carl's personal experience with his worse half is she sucks donkey balls. But either way, it's personal experiences. In Ecclesiastes by Solomon, who's literally a rich guy, son of David, literally the richest person ever in history of mankind. He's saying, "Oh man, be content with what you got." I do like that. But I'm like, he's like, "Oh, it's better to be a laborer and go to sleep at night than it is to be rich and wealthy." I said, "Yeah, easy to say if you're rich. It's easy to say if you got a full belly. What if you're poor and you don't have a full belly? You're gonna tell me it's easier to go to sleep at night if you're poor?" Look at Sergio. Once in a while, Sergio shows up. Right on, man. This one I'll probably keep on YouTube because we're not on Rumble because I don't know what the hell's going on with Rumble. Rumble's just weird, man. I don't get it. Getting on my nerves. Freaking Dave Rubin. Anyway, but we'll keep this one. I don't think I said anything that could lose my YouTube channel. All right, so let's end this with a prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for your glory. Are we giving enough glory to you in our actions? Are we giving enough glory to you in our actions? All of our actions should give you glory. I know I'm not. I know for a fact I'm not. And Lord, I just ask for forgiveness and everything I do against you, which is huge. Give us guidance to recognize human beings will always have disputes. That doesn't mean that changes who you are, good Lord. The creator of every single thing in this universe is yours and yours only. May we always remember that and be so in awe of your creation to look at the green grass, the beauty of a butterfly, the wonders of a baby smiling and laughing, and just be in awe like the children. Doesn't mean we have to be stupid, ignorant. Just means we need to be in awe of your creation because your creation is so glorious. How do we forget this? How do we forget this? We pray in Jesus' name, amen. I don't overlook creation, man. I just, even out here in a dark gray day like that, I don't know if y'all can see that. I mean, man, I'm like Cindy. The more I just look at creation, the more in awe I am of God's work. The more I'm just so inspired by Him. And it's like, the more I don't know what's the word I'm looking. The more I see my dogs. There's a video yesterday of a baby laughing. Oh my goodness. It just makes your heart melt, man. It makes your heart. Do you see that? I don't know if I put it out there. I'm not sure I could. There's a video of this lady. Oh man. People are good, man. This video of this lady she had cancer and she's getting her hair cut. And she was just crying. As a young lady, young 30s, 40s, something like that. The guy cutting her hair, it was like kissing her head, hugging her because she was scared, man. Oh, you should see this. And then the guy cut his own. It was freaking awesome. It might be staged. I don't know. I'm a fool for the next video like anybody else, but seeing what good people can be to other people is freaking. There's nothing. What more do you need? And that guy didn't do it to go to heaven. If it's staged, okay. I fell for it. I don't care. I fell for good people be engaging in good behavior all the time. If that's fake, I don't care. But that guy didn't freaking cut his hair to go to heaven. He cut his hair to show a fellow human being created in God's image that he is with her. I just, man, if that doesn't motivate you to be out there and do good, I don't know what it is. And I'm the biggest hypocrite there is, dude. 100%. Big fat hypocrite. I get it. But my goodness. If you should watch this video, if you don't cry, I mean, maybe you won't. Maybe you're not, freaking Irish Catholic I am, where we're just emotional about everything. Maybe you're German and you don't have any emotions. But I tell you, man, watch this video, and the ending is I just gave it away. But it's nice to see this guy like hug, just. But then at the very, whew. And no one's doing that to serve, their purpose to go to heaven. They're doing it to serve the Lord. And that's why what makes Jesus so remarkable is that what he did for the least of us all, which is why the religion of us is so frustrated me. Close the churches. Follow this right here. It's crazy, man. Oh my goodness. You can't see him. He's going nuts over there. All right. I can get out of here. God bless. I didn't mean to be a big old baby. Let's see. I think I cry more than my wife does. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't cry that much. Usually when I cry, it's just kind of like a brief. Uh, it's usually I don't really. I don't know. I cry at good people doing good things, or dogs, or babies. Yeah, maybe I do cry a lot. I cried a little bit when the Red Sox won the World Series in 2004. And I cried when the Bruins won. I cried for all the, just a brief cry, but that previous year with Chloe in the hospital and the Red Sox had just lost with stupid Barry Boone or whatever, Aaron Boone. And just like, that, and then to have that year come and go. And the next year, the Red Sox, Chloe was born literally a few minutes after Aaron Boone hit that home run against the Red Sox in the ALCS, and that sucked. And then the very next year, the Red Sox, it was a culmination of one of the hardest years of my life. And I also felt bad for all the people who hadn't seen the Red Sox, who had kept like the life passes. All the people who didn't see the Red Sox win a World Series with their dad and the granddad and whatever since 1918, and just to see how. I know it's sports ball. I get it, but man, that was huge, huge. And I felt happy for the people who said, man, if my dad was only here, you know what I'm saying? We watched these games with friggin' Terrible Ted, with Carl Yastrzemski, Wade Boggs, and now my dad's gone. And if he could only be, I felt in my heart for those people who had a fond memory of their pops. And I just, that made me cry a little bit, not much. I didn't cry when the Patriots lost. I was when they lost the Giants that first time. I didn't cry, but I was, I didn't cry. I did cry when they lost the World Series in '86. Seeing Wade Boggs out there, I was like, just a little bit, not much. But yeah, right. I do. All right, I'm gonna be empathetic towards my dog, so I'm gonna take it for a W. God bless. We'll see you guys.